I believe the universe wants you to grow as a spirit and like as a person and do these things, and growth is not easy.
Welcome to Dating Apps, the podcast where we swap wild dating stories, share laughs, and serve up real talk experiences and advice. So let's get into it. Okay, hello and welcome back to Dating Apps. I'm your host, Alex Daly, and I am so excited because we're going to have so much fun today with my guest, Lily Chapin. Lily is an intuitive and the creator of the upcoming podcast, Girl Gone Feral. That definitely speaks to me. This is going to be a podcast and a community that's all about helping women reconnect with their inner wisdom, break free from perfectionism, and feel wildly at home in themselves. So it's like a magical, unfiltered girlhood energy that meets late night sleepover chats with your best friend. And she's going to bring that same vibe here today to Dating Apps. So I'm so excited. Welcome to the pod, Lily.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
I am so excited to talk. I feel like we have a lot to talk about, a lot to say. And before we get into the good, juicy stuff, I want to warm up with you with my new segment and ask about who you're crushing on today, because it doesn't have to, I'll clarify, it doesn't have to be a who, it could be a what, it could be a thing, it could be a show that you're watching, it could be a place, an album that you're listening to, but just like anything that's lighting you up recently.
Yeah, can I pick two? First one is a person, Gabby Windy. Do you follow her?
No, who's that?
She was on The Bachelor, and then she was co-bachelorette with Rachel on the show.
Okay.
And then she was on Traitors.
Oh, wait, I have seen her popping up on social media. She's very outspoken.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
incredible. She is definitely what I would call a feral woman. She's like hilarious and just like very much her own person. People call her like the Jennifer Coolidge of our generation.
Did she get married to Robbie Hoffman?
She did.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, another iconic piece of her like lore is that she was on Bachelor and Bachelorette and then discovered that she's gay and is now married to a woman, which I absolutely love. So I'm
And
just
Robbie is so funny.
oh yeah. No, and
Amazing.
like thank God, because like Gabby's hilarious. She has such a unique sense of humor. I feel like she like needs someone who can like match her energy. So yeah, I'm obsessed with her and everything she does. She can do no wrong in my eyes. Like I
I
just
love that.
love her so much. The other thing I'm crushing on is it's a band called Sammy Ray and the Friends, which I feel like not that many people know about, but they're incredible. We've seen them live twice, and Sammy Ray is the lead singer, and she has one of those voices that's just like genuinely an instrument. Like she most insane things vocally, and it's just like effortless. And
What's the vibe of their music?
they have a bunch of different vibes. It's like jazzy, folky, poppy, disco-y. They have
Ooh.
like a bunch of different vibes that they do. But I think it's like a 12 or 14 piece band.
Wow.
And so like it's got like a very full sound, and her vocals are just incredible. They were just on the Kelly Clarkson show like today or yesterday or something. So
Oh, well then they're going to blow up for sure.
yeah, they have to. I'm so excited for them. So if you haven't listened to Sammy Ray and the Friends, definitely and like listen to a bunch of different songs, because
Yeah.
the vibes are very different across different things. So
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check them out. That sounds so fun. And I guess I will share what I'm crushing
I was
on
gonna
right
say,
now,
I wanted to
which
ask you.
I feel like it's similar. It's sort of a two-parter as well, because I was going to say that I'm crushing on Philly, which is where I live. I love this city so much, and especially in the springtime and the beautiful weather. Like she's really showing off. It's so beautiful out. Philly's super walkable, so I've been going on like very long walks recently, and it just lights me up. But then the second part of that, I would say I'm crushing on like the women of Philly, because like it's just such a great community here. And that's also what I like a lot about living here is it's a lot easier and more accessible to create community. It's like a smaller city. So it
Mhm.
feels like it's easier to go out and meet people at events. And there are a ton of events going on. I literally just went to one at my local park that this woman just set up that was like, I wanted to create a crafting and social club because it's hard to make friends as an adult. And she literally just started this out of thin air. There was like hundreds of people at the park. They're just like sitting and like quietly working on their crafts and like chatting with friends. It was so like respectful and nice. And she just created it out of nothing, which was just so lovely.
I love that. We have a lot of stuff like that here. There's a lot of like Austin women's groups who will do like free events and meetups and stuff. Super fun. I also recently, one more thing, I joined a women only boxing gym, and
Ooh,
it's like the best thing in the world. So yeah, women's
that's very
spaces,
cool.
women's groups are so lovely.
Yes. Yeah. I met my best friend here through like a walking group that was like called Philly Girls Who Walk. And they're awesome too. And we just went on a walk together and then we were like, should we exchange numbers? Like, are we friends now? And it was just like an organic meeting, but because of this like walking group, and it was so fun.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, great. I love that. So, Lily, I will share how I met you. Well, first of all, I found you on TikTok, which is, the algorithm
Mm.
presents who you need to see, apparently. But I really liked all of your content and the things that you had to say. So I ended up signing up for this group coaching session that you had. And the first time that I met you, like face to face via Zoom, was on an intuitive reading, which was so cool. I had never done it before. And I actually asked you to send me the recording again, like earlier this year, because I was like, it had been a full year and I was like, wait, I feel like she had some things to say that were really accurate. And you sent it to me and I went back and listened and I was like, whoa, it hit even harder a
Mhm.
year later after like listening back, that I was like, that was so spot on. Like you told me that the next year was going to be about heart opening for me and that like could not have been more true. It was so wild and I loved your guidance. I loved your energy and it was super fun meeting you through this way.
Thank you. Yeah. It's always so nice to have people reach out later on and like ask for their readings back or give me like feedback or just an update or anything. Because, like, I don't know if it's like especially in this field, but I feel, especially as like an intuitive and stuff, I feel like imposter syndrome can really get to you. And you're like, am I just like making this up? Because like it is such a wild concept. Like you receive downloads and guidance and information that like you shouldn't be privy to. And so, like, when I do readings for people, I'm like, I really hope that was accurate. And like, there's actually no way for it feels accurate to me. Like,
You can't like double check it.
no, you
Yeah.
like I get feedback from the person, but like you said, like a lot of times when you do the initial reading, people are like, huh, okay. And then they just like kind of have that in the back of their mind. But then like as time goes on, when they look back, and I've had that experience too on the receiving end where like I'll get a reading and I'm like, huh, interesting. And then like something will make me think of it like a year later and I'll go back and look and I'm like, oh my God, like that was so accurate. Everything that they said would happen happened, and like everything that I was focused on and feeling and all this stuff. And so I'm so glad that you had that experience as well. And it's like always so nice to hear from people that like it was actually accurate, because first of all, I like doubt myself a lot, but then also a lot of time like I forget that I have that ability actually. And so I'm like, oh right, like I'm actually like kind of a psychic. Like I forget about that.
No, that's so super cool. And I think like most people are not able to tap into that at all. So I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your journey, how you feel like you discovered those gifts.
Yeah, I feel like I had a unique journey because my aunt did astrology and intuitive readings as well. And she introduced me to all of that when I was really young. And when I was like 6 or 7, she would take me to get like my aura picture taken and to see mediums and to like moon ceremonies and all this stuff. And she never forced it on me, but she would just like tell me about it and be like, do you want to go? And I was always like, yes. She was like, do you have any questions? I was like, no, let's go. I think like my soul just like knew, and she could see in me that like I had a lot of intuition and like gifts and things. And so she wanted to foster that. And then like as I got more into different spiritual communities and met other like psychics and intuitives, like they would always come up to me and tell me that I had a gift and that I would be able to do readings and be a medium and like all this stuff. And I was like, cool, how?
Yeah.
And then through my own journey, just like I found spirituality and intuitive work so helpful and like wanted to be able to do it and had never considered that until I was older. Cause like everyone who I knew who was an intuitive was like at least 40 to 50 years old. And so I was like, oh, that's like a later in life thing.
Mhm.
And then I was like, wait, why don't I just do it now? And so 2 years ago, I got certified as a spiritual coach, and then started offering readings to people. And originally, I wanted to do more like wellness coaching and like stuff about the nervous system and kind of like health related, because that's how my journey had been a lot. And then I realized that like I have a gift for doing intuitive readings, and it's like pretty effortless for me to tap in and receive guidance for people.
Wow.
And so I started doing that more, and I enjoy it more. I find it really fun. So, yeah, it was kind of
Yeah.
like I feel like it was almost like a maybe this isn't the right phrase, but like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I feel like the universe was like, you will be an intuitive. And I was like, okay. And then just like fell into it. So it's been kind of a lifelong journey, but like only more recently have I actively been doing it for other people, not just listening to my own intuition.
No, that's so super cool. And yeah, you were like very spot on. But I think at the time I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, because you were telling me like it's going to be about heart opening and blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I was like, I had a very open mind, but I was still super guarded with like my heart and my emotions and stuff. I was in like a very different place, even just like a little over a year ago. And like that just, it changed like so rapidly for me. And so to go back and listen and be like, "Oh my god, she was totally spot on." Like that was so crazy because I maybe like wasn't ready to hear it then or like that felt scary to me, but that's like what I needed.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot. You hear stuff in readings and you're like, "No." Because like the universe wants I believe the universe wants you to grow as a spirit and like as a person and do these things, and growth is not easy. Like we're always going to have growing pains. And so when you're faced with that and like you've been avoiding it and there's some part of you that knows that you're doing that, but then like to consciously hear it and be like, you have to like focus on this, or you're going to go through this, or you're going to do this. You're like, no, I've been avoiding that for a really long
Yeah.
time. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so because we're on dating apps, I love to talk about dating and relationships. I would love to know if your intuitive gifts helped lead you to your partner today.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I feel like I always forget how powerful a manifester I am. Like everybody can be. Like, just as a side note for anyone listening, like being an intuitive and like being able to manifest and stuff is not a thing only some people have. I firmly believe that we all have the ability to do it. Some of us are just, there's less barriers in the way. And so, like, anyone can work on that and get to that place. Like, I truly believe anyone could be a medium or a psychic or an intuitive reader if you develop your own gifts. But I always forget how powerful a manifester I am. Like, for example, I didn't used to wear glasses. I thought they looked really cute on me, and I used to steal my coworkers' glasses all the time and wear them for fun. And I was like, I look so cute in glasses. I really want to wear glasses. And within like 6 months, I needed glasses. And now I've had to wear
Wow.
glasses for like the rest of my life. And so, like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Before I met my husband, the man I'm with now, I had specifically for some reason wanted to date someone who was tall and blonde. And that's what my last boyfriend was. And so, like, I called that in and it happened. And we were together for like 4.5, 5 years. And then I had met through one of my friends. She was in a relationship with this guy, and he had a group of friends who were all guys, and we all became really close during the pandemic. And they were all so lovely and just like really good guys, like just some of the like most kind-hearted men I'd met in a really long time. And they're all super nerdy And so I was
Mhm.
like, I think the key is finding a nerd. I was like,
Right.
I want to date a hot nerd. Like that's my next goal. And so I think I like put that out in the universe and then that's exactly what the universe gave me. My husband
Wow.
I find very attractive and he's just like I call him a space nerd because he's like obsessed with space. But he's just like a big old nerd. He's such a sweetie. And so I do feel like if you're putting something out into the universe, like the universe will bring that to you. So I feel like you should be mindful of like what you're calling in and what you're wanting to attract.
Yeah, 1000%. And first of all, I totally co-sign. Nerds are the best people to date and be in relationships with. Justice for nerds.
This is for that.
They are just an untapped treasure. I feel like they're sweet boys. They're just kind and lovely and yeah, untapped resource for some people. But I also agree that I think anyone can manifest. I think here's the thing is like, I think we are always manifesting whether we're aware of it or not. So it's like, can you like direct your thoughts in the direction that you want to go? But I love to talk. Like, I say all the time, I manifested my dog. I'm like, and she manifested me. Like, we found each other.
Yeah, I asked the universe for same thing with my cat. I asked the universe for a very snuggly cat with a lot of personality. And my cat is super snuggly and has like the most personality of any cat you've ever met in your life. Like he is, it's a blessing and a curse because he's a lot to deal with, but he's so full of personality. Like I just adore him. But yeah, like I think we're always manifesting. But I also just as like a quick disclaimer on that, I feel like a lot of times people are like, uh-oh, like anything I think or say is gonna come true. And we naturally have a lot of like negative thoughts that we have to work through. And so I choose to believe that the more intention we put behind something, the more powerful it is. So like if you just have passing negative thoughts and stuff like that, it's not like you're just going to like manifest terrible things happening
Mhm.
because otherwise I think we'd go crazy.
Yeah. Totally. But I think that you can sometimes like when if your biggest fear is at the forefront of your mind, I think sometimes you can actually like make that happen, which is like what we want to try to avoid doing in manifesting.
Totally. What I always do for myself is like whenever I have like a negative thought or something that I don't want to call in, I will just like flag it and then replace it with something I do want to call in. So like
Mm.
if I have a negative thought or something, like I'll just be like, hold on, like how can I counter that? And just like pop in a quick counter and like try to shift my thoughts toward the things that I want to call in versus the things that I don't want to call in. But yeah, I think like the manifestation to OCD pipeline is like quite significant. So, or maybe the OCD to manifestation pipeline, either way. So, anyway, I think we need to have
Yeah.
like, a healthy grip on it and not be so like,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll always get
Definitely.
what you need in life, I think.
I agree. I agree. So I'm curious if your partner is also spiritual in any way.
Yeah. And that was one of the first things we talked about because it's really important to me. And like if you're the kind of guy who like thinks it's a red flag that I want to look up your birth chart, like we're not gonna get along. We should just stop
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
I brought it up really early with him. His mom does human design,
Oh, wow.
and does like energy work and stuff. So he was like already very open to it. And neither of us subscribe to like one particular religion or form of spirituality. We just kind of like hold general beliefs about the universe and energy and the way things work. And we just like happened to align on pretty much all of it. I was a lot more in it because like I said, like I had a lifetime of experience with these things through my aunt, but Johnny was definitely like open to everything
Mhm.
and was not like he didn't think I was crazy. He very willingly gave me his birth date and time so my aunt could look up his chart. We enjoyed talking about it and it was like something that we bonded over very early on. I always ask the important questions early on because I'm like I'm not going
Mhm.
to my time if we're not aligned on like these really core important things. And so I think we talked about it like within our first 2 dates.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important. If it's a value that's something important to you, the other person has to at least be open to it, even if, because like not everyone is tapped into like spiritualness and whatnot. But if there's someone who's like ew, you said manifest, like that's a red flag, then obviously that's not your person. But if
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I don't really know anything about that. Can you tell me more? Then at least like they're willing to hear you out.
Exactly. Yeah. I've dated several guys who were like not into spirituality and stuff really at all, but they respected that part of my life and like, at least were curious. I don't need people to agree with me. I'm not part of a cult, I'm not trying to convert anyone. So, like, I don't need anyone to be on the same page, but like, you need to at least respect what's important to me. So, yeah, Johnny's like very into all that stuff now. And he's like, yeah, we do spiritual stuff together and like do manifestation practices together. And
Cool.
we're both doing the artist's way right now.
Oh,
So, yeah, he's like very into all of it.
yeah, I've heard good things about that. It's on my list to check out. But yeah, I think it's so great when you can find a partner who is aligned with you on those things. I remember like I was in a relationship for a while with this guy. And when I asked him what his big three were, he knew them right away. And I was like, okay, either this guy's like really into this stuff or he goes on a lot of dates. And that's a common question that he gets.
Yeah. I love a man who knows like anything about astrology.
Yeah.
It's always a green flag for me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit about how we can tap into our intuition and how we can use that in dating and in relationships.
Yeah. So like tapping into your intuition in general is kind of a journey, I feel like, but it starts with trusting yourself. I think women in particular have a really strong intuition and we just know things. And I think it's been dismissed for a long time because I firmly believe that like intuition and manifestation and psychics and stuff, I think that's just it's science that we don't have science for yet. So like it can't be proven, but like I firmly believe it's very much a real thing. And so I think it's been discounted for a long time because we don't have like the facts and figures to back it up. It's like a trust and a faith thing. And so I think first and foremost, we need to like learn to trust ourselves and stop discounting our intuition because a lot of times we're right about things and we don't necessarily have the receipts for it, but like we feel it. And so I think for women in particular, that's really important. I also really always tell people to focus on learning how to like calm and balance your nervous system because if you're operating from a place of like fight or flight, then think of it as like radio static. Like there's a lot of static in the way of the message. And so things are coming through kind of fuzzy. Like mishear your intuition, or you might
Yeah,
trust the feeling of that radio static over the message that's trying to come through. And
that
so,
makes sense.
yeah, learning how to like be in a calm and balanced state. And I feel like that's hard to do in dating when you're very much like in your head.
Mhm.
I feel like we overthink a lot and we need to actually just feel.
Yeah. So how can we do that in like a small way? How can we tell the difference between like our nervous system getting activated versus like something that you're actually like connecting with or whatever on a date?
Yeah, I think just like slowing down a little.
Yeah.
And just in general as human beings, like it's okay to like take a breath before you respond to something or to like think about something before you respond to someone. I think at least for me, I often get caught up in like the energy of what's happening and it's like ping pong. Like you want it to like keep the conversation flowing, but it's okay to like sit back and pause. And that's something that Johnny has actually taught me because he is a much like slower person than I am. Like I'm always going 100 miles an hour and he'll pause mid sentence to think for a while before finishing because he like is trying to land on what he wants to say. I for a long time was like, sorry, are you done talking? Are we gonna finish the sentence? And I've learned now to just like be patient and like wait a couple seconds. And so I think, yeah, just like slowing down and like letting the things that someone says like land for a second and thinking before you respond and like really seeing how that feels. And then also like thinking back on your date later, like after you spend time with someone, like how do you feel after you spent time with them? Do you feel excited, but but grounded? Do you feel like frenetic and off kilter? Do you feel stressed and paranoid about how the whole interaction went? Like what are like the after effects of that interaction and seeing how that feels in your space? Because I think a lot of times people mistake like passion and fireworks for just like it's just nervous system dysregulation. Like your system is just like all off kilter and like you're very anxious and like wired up and you think that's like connection, but
Mm,
it's not necessarily. I think you can have like excitement and passion and fireworks while also feeling grounded and calm and like centered.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like I have learned a lot of tips from you about getting in touch with your body and your intuition and like having these things like land with you. And it is a muscle, I think, that you have to like build up. And you have some really great ways that you can start doing that in small ways.
Mhm.
So I would love if you could talk a little bit about the name test, because this one, like, I always come back to it if
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like trying to make a decision or something. And it's like this simple little trick almost that you can do to like, see how something lands with you. Can you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah. So the name test, it's just like a really, really simple intuition test. So basically, feeling the difference in energies between something that is true and something that is right and something that is not right. And so all you literally do is you say, like, my name is Lily, and see how that feels in your body and in your energy. Like, that's a true fact. My name is Lily. How does that feel in my space? And like you can close your eyes, feel into your body, like just see. You can even say it a few times, just see how it feels. And then say, like, my name is Bob and see how that feels. And for me personally, that I just felt energy like wave through my system
Hmm.
in a way that almost feels like the feeling right before getting butterflies in your stomach. It's almost like a sour energy. It's not true. My name's not Bob. And so that's just like a really easy way to start to be able to identify the different feelings of energy. And then you can apply it to other things and be like, if you're looking at someone's dating profile, like saying like this person is right for me and seeing how that feels in your system versus being like this person is not right for me and see how that feels in your system. And so you can use it for anything. What should I eat for breakfast today? Which way should I drive home? Like, which person should I go on a date with? Literally anything, but just starting to understand the way energy feels because we do feel it in our bodies, whether you particularly believe in that or not, everything in the universe is made up of energy. And so naturally, we have connections to different things. So, yeah, that's a good.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge believer in energy. I think it's so important, but I think it is a skill that you have to learn and you have to be able to tap into. And I love those ways that you have just talked about the really small ways where you can start building that up
Yeah.
and being able to recognize it in yourself. I also love like the what do I want to have for lunch today? Like super small things. You're like, do I want a sandwich or do I want a salad? And it's like such a small thing, but that's what the best thing to practice on because you're like, no, let me pause. Let me think what do I really want? You're like, oh, I really want a sandwich today, and then you have it and then that builds up that trust with yourself.
Totally.
And or like, what do I want to wear to work today? You know what? This purple sweater is really calling me today. And just like building it up that way to get used to that feeling, get used to how energy is landing with you about what is true, what is your intuition, and where is it guiding you?
Yeah, I think people oftentimes try to jump to like really big decisions. They're like, okay, intuition, like time to shine. I need a billboard. Like, I have to decide, if I'm going to marry this person or not. And your system's like, dude, you could not have asked me a bigger question. Like, what do you mean? And you haven't built up that trust. And so, yeah, just like doing it with like silly things to start and like, it's always a work in progress. Like I have been doing this work practically my whole life, and I still probably once a week, once every other week will ignore some little like intuitive thing I get like, hey, take this extra hair tie with you today. And like I'm like, I won't need it. And then my hair tie breaks and I need it. And I'm like, why didn't I listen to that? Like I should know better by now to like listen to my own intuition, but humans are stubborn. And so like it takes a long time to recognize that and to build up that trust and to do it, but it's really, really helpful.
Yeah. No, and it's so true because a lot of times our own judgment and intuition can get clouded by something someone else says, like what you think you're supposed to be doing. And it's really a big exercise to get in touch with what you actually want, what actually feels good to you.
Yeah, I always say I think most people struggle with a really bad case of the shoulds.
Mhm.
Mm. We have so many rules and regulations and expectations that society has put on us. And I think, especially as women, like things we should be looking for, things we should want, things we should be okay with or shouldn't be okay with, and especially in dating. And it's crazy. And so, like, really learning what feels good to you and learning yourself and what's important to you specifically, and just like blocking out all of that noise. The less radio static we have, the clearer we can be and the more we can know ourselves. And then I feel like that's when you can find stuff that actually is aligned for you, like long term. So yeah, it's a really important piece of like life and dating that I feel like people don't often focus on.
No, definitely. I think it's so important to get in touch with yourself and try to like block out that noise, but it's not easy. It took me most of my life to start doing that.
Yeah. No, it's hard. It's really challenging. I think a lot of people think there's an end point with personal growth and intuition and a lot of this work that we do, and tragically there is not. Like it's always going to be a work in progress. We're going to have to be, 90 years old sitting there being like, I have to remember what I really want.
Yeah,
Do this thing. And so it's a constant practice, and the best we can do is just like have fun with it and get used to it and make friends with it, cuz it's something we need to constantly be doing.
definitely. Okay. I would love to do a little rapid fire round with you if you're game. Just ask you a few quick questions. You can use your gut, use your intuition and tell me what is the first thing that pops up for you.
Go for it.
Okay. So, in dating and relationships, what's the biggest green flag for you on a date?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like actually pre-date planning. So, like, did they put any effort into the date itself? Did they find out what I like? Did they ask me any questions? Did they
Mhm.
make sure I was like, if we're gonna go on a long walk, that I'm wearing the right shoes? Like, little things that make it obvious that they put time and effort into it. Uh,
Yeah. Yes, and it makes you feel cared for and that that person put thought into it and care, you know? That's so important.
Yeah, because like I know I put a lot of effort into my relationships. And so I want to make sure someone else is also doing that. And I think also women in particular put in a lot of effort behind the scenes that is often not
Mhm.
recognized. Like guys are like, how come I have to pick the place? How come I have to make the reservation? I have to plan ahead. It's like, okay, well, I just spent 3 hours getting ready and like making myself look beautiful and feel beautiful and be in the right headspace to go on a date with you. And like, we also have to account for our safety and our comfort.
Mhm.
So, like, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Like, the very least you can do is plan a good date.
I am so with you there. Okay, what is one thing that someone can say on a date that makes you feel instantly safe or seen?
Yeah, I think on like a macro level, a man who's just like aware of women's safety and
Mhm.
like makes sure we feel comfortable. So like not assuming I want him to pick me up at my house. Like maybe I don't want you to know where I live at
Yeah.
first, and just being respectful of those kinds of things. But then on like a more micro level, I think there's no like one particular like phrase or thing a guy could say, but something I noticed in my husband is that he is so attuned to my body language and the way I speak and how I'm feeling that like he will clock that I'm not into something or not feeling good about something or a little off about something before even I do. And so even early on, like he would pick up on things and then store those and remember them and then like come back with it later. And I was like, oh my God, like you like actually know me. Like you see me beyond just what I'm presenting. Like he can read between the lines and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, like I did XYZ for you because like I know that you do or don't like this." And I'd be like, "Had
Yeah.
you like did I tell you that?" He's like, "No, but every time I like bring this up, you like kind of make a face." So like I know it's not really what you want. So like I did this instead and I'm like, "That's the nicest thing ever." Like it's really all the little things.
Yeah, totally. Wow. Yeah, huge green flag. I like your husband already. He sounds like a great guy.
He's the best. He's like truly such a good one.
Okay, well, this is kind of in the same vein, but what is an underrated turn on that has nothing to do with physical traits?
Yeah, I think it's similar for me. It's like really knowing me. For example, like Johnny and I dated long distance for 4 months before we ever met in person. Like very picky about like a lot of sensory issues. So very picky about like textures and fabrics and things like that. And I had definitely like mentioned that at some point. And when we first met in person, I slept over to his house and I asked to borrow a t-shirt to sleep in. He brought me 3 t-shirts because he wasn't sure which one I was going to like the texture of.
Oh.
And, like, my previous boyfriend had always just, like, told me that I was really, really difficult about stuff like that. He was like, "You're so ridiculous. Like, why does it matter?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but it does." And then
Mhm.
Johnny was like, "I brought you 3 t-shirts because I wasn't sure which one you were gonna like." And I was like, "My God." Like, that level of being seen and being accommodated, I think I, like, fell in love with him right there. And then
Wow.
he remembered which one that I picked, and if I ever ask for a t-shirt, he brings me that one. Like, people will always say, like, to be loved is to be seen or to be known,
Mhm.
and I think that's so true, like, it still warms my heart so much when he does stuff like that and just, like, knows me, and I
Yes.
and doesn't ever make me feel bad for it. Like, he loves me truly unconditionally.
That is so
Yeah.
sweet and such a great example. And it's like, well, yeah, of course you want the fabric of the shirt that you're sleeping in to feel good. Like, that's not too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. For this one, I feel like for me, something that came to mind was like when your date or your partner grabs your hand when you're in like a crowded public space to like help guide you through and make sure you don't get separated. I'm just like, yes, I feel so safe. Let's go.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's like even though I'm like a raging feminist all the time, there are definitely some like gentlemanly things that mean a lot to me. And that's actually something that I had to get used to. I grew up in the Northeast and now I live in Texas. And there's definitely like a Southern gentleman thing happening here
Hmm.
that I had to get used to. And at first I was like hyper independent. And Johnny was like, just let me help you. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I can do it myself. And, like, now, like, he always carries my luggage, always opens my door, always holds an umbrella out for me, like, stuff like that, and, like,
Amazing.
it's nice. It really is. Like, it's not because he thinks I can't do it, he knows I can.
Right.
He's just like, "No, like, relax, like, I've got you."
I love that. Okay. Can you think of a first date question that you secretly love being asked?
Yeah. No, I think I like when a guy asks me, like, what I'm really passionate about and genuinely wants to know the answer. They want to see me light up and talk about what I'm really, really interested in, and will do anything to see me get that happy and excited about something. Like, I feel like Johnny does that a lot. He'll, like, ask me about things I'm really interested in just to see me light up. Like, he doesn't necessarily care about, like, the thing, but, like, he just enjoys seeing what makes me energized as a person.
Mhm.
So, I feel like I like when people ask those kinds of questions that, like, kinda get to the heart of it rather than, like, the stuff that's, like, a little bit more surface level.
Totally. Yeah, and it is super fun and super attractive to see your partner light up and be passionate about something or be really good at what they're doing. Like it's such a beautiful way to like see your partner in their full human form.
Totally. Yeah, I love seeing anyone just, like, light up about whatever it is they, like, nerd out on. I'm like, "Please tell me everything, like, this is so much fun."
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question where I feel like maybe it's good for people to tap into their intuition for this one. So, what would your advice be for your most aligned way to close out a date? Would you text after? Do you wait a day? Do you follow the energy?
Yeah, I've had a commitment for a long, long time to not play games with anybody, and, like, I will tell people that up front. I actually tell all guys that I, like, ever consider dating, I'm like, "Just so you know, like, I don't do mind games, and, like, I am a very honest person. Like, you might not always like what it is I have to say, but you will know that I'm not lying to you ever. Like, I will tell you what's on my mind, and I will tell you how I'm feeling because I think that that level of, like, radical honesty cuts through so much of the bullshit. If
Mhm.
anyone is a book talk girly or just like really likes to read, all the rom-coms with the miscommunication trope like make me want to scream. I think they make everyone want to scream because it's like, just tell them how you feel. So yeah, I just do whatever I feel like doing. If it wasn't a very good date and I need like time to think on it and like time to sit back from it, I might not text that night. If it's a great date, I'll usually text like immediately and be like, loved our time together. Like, thank you for this. Like, excited to see you again or whatever. I think just following whatever feels right to you. And as I've gotten older, one thing I've learned is that like if anyone's into human design,
Mhm.
I have emotional authority. Some people have sacral authority, so you'll get like your gut instinct, your intuition, like immediately, like it just pops in right away. Mine is dependent on like riding out an emotional wave. So I actually need more time to go through the high and the low of how I feel about something before I can land in like a neutral space about it and then respond to it that way. So I try to do that more often
Yeah.
now. And if I could go back in my dating life, I think I would do that more often and just like take a step back and take some time. I really think that like nothing that's meant for you is just going to pass you by. Like you're not going to mess it up by not, texting back for a day or texting too soon or
Yeah.
like the person that is going to love you unconditionally isn't going to be put off by you being honest and upfront with your actions and your feelings.
Definitely. I totally agree with you there. It's well, yeah, if somebody is like turned off by you texting them, well, then there's your answer right there.
Like, please go to therapy. I don't know. Like, I can't deal with you with your
Yeah.
weird little games.
Yeah. I am with you. Okay, one last question. Do you stay friends with your exes? Why or why not?
Yeah, I do. This is always like I feel like it's like a hot topic, a hot debate. People are always really surprised that I stay friends with my exes. Adults in particular are very surprised that I stay friends with my exes. I always have since I was in, high school. I just think that unless a relationship like ends really badly, like someone hurt you in a way that you like can't forgive ever,
Mhm.
or they were abusive or toxic, like, I think
Yeah.
that's completely fair. Cut them off. I have one ex who was abusive and toxic, and
Mm.
he, like, texted me and harassed me for weeks after we broke up, and I was
Oh,
like, "Yes,
geez.
we're not gonna be friends, like, I
No.
don't need you in my life at all." But, like, most of my relationships ended pretty amicably. I was usually the one broken up with, but, like, I knew going into those relationships that they were going to end at some point. Like, we were young, and I don't know, maybe intuition, like, I just knew they were gonna end, so, like, it still hurt, but I was like, "We clearly had a deep connection. We clearly had a lot to share and to learn from each other, like, why do we have to throw that away?"
Mhm.
'Cause our relationship ended. And so I would take like a breather from my relationship for a period of time and obviously like respect their wishes if they didn't want to talk for a while, but ultimately like told them right away, like at some point I'd like to be friends again. So like if you need space, let me know. I want to have a relationship with you as friends. And so I would just like initiate contact at some point and be like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, would love to hear about how things are going and like hang out sometimes. One of my exes is like basically a part of my family. He like worked for my parents, he worked for my aunt. He's like, my brothers loved him. Like when we broke up, he just stayed part of the family. And so like he's invited to our wedding.
Aw.
We're still really, really good friends. And like my most recent ex that I was with for like 4.5, 5 years, like we kind of joint broke up. Um, and we're still very good friends as well and like text each other all the time with updates and things. And so yeah, I think like as long as it didn't, you know, as long as the person isn't toxic, I feel like there's a relationship to be had there.
Yeah.
And I think it's silly to throw it away just because you feel like you should. Like, if you want to be friends, I feel like you should have that conversation and see if that's something you both want to do.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. I am friendly with my ex-husband. So, I feel like it's weird when you had this close relationship with them for like however many years and then they're just like poof gone. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, my last ex, when we broke up, we've been together for like 4.5, 5 years, and we tried at first to stop talking. We were like, we should probably like take a break. And then within like 3 days, we were like, I miss you too much. Like, I I think this is too hard to cut off completely. Like, can we just be friends now? And we
Yeah.
both were like, yes, please. Like, I miss you. Like, we knew we weren't romantically right for each other, but we
Hmm.
were such good friends for years.
Yeah.
And like, I missed my best friend. I was like, I want to talk to you about life. And so I think we hung out like within 2 weeks of breaking up and we talked frequently. And like it was much easier for us to get over the relationship being
Hmm.
friends than not being friends.
Yeah.
I don't think it hindered that process at all. I think it was exactly what we needed. And like we've grown apart over the years, but like, yeah, we're still good friends. And it was just easier instead of like, this complete cutoff. It was like we got to fade away
Yeah.
together.
No, I'm glad to hear you say that because I think it's another like should situation. Like we should stop talking, like we shouldn't be friends. But I had a similar experience with my ex-husband where it's like, yeah, we spent almost every day together for like 10 years. It's weird to just like not talk to you ever again. And I feel like for us, the strongest part of our relationship was the friendship part.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah, we don't hang out all the time or anything, but like sometimes we'll talk on the phone and like shoot the shit and be like, how you been? Like that I feel like is fine. And to me, that's a healthier way to be than like, I can never have eye contact with this person ever again?
totally. I think it's a great like litmus test too for new relationships. I always tell the person that I'm dating that I'm friends with my exes and that like I'm not going to stop talking to them because I'm not cheating on you.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. We're friends. And so if a new person that I'm dating can't trust me with that, then like we're not going to work because there's a fundamental level of trust there that's just not
Yep.
is not there. And like when Johnny and I first met, he had had only like one other relationship for like a couple months in high school and otherwise hadn't had any serious relationships. And he had dated a few girls who like left him and went back to their exes. And so when I told him that I was friends with my exes and like particularly my most recent ex who I was with for a long time, it like freaked him out at first. But he actually didn't ever he didn't tell me that until much, much later. He was like, "Oh, okay, like I understand," but was like internally freaking out, but like wanted to see how it played out and give me space. And then, like, as he heard me talk about it more and like talk about a relationship and like how we just weren't a fit and saw me interact and stuff, like, he was like, yeah, there's no threat here. Like, she's completely trustworthy. They're completely trustworthy. Like, she's genuinely just friends with this guy. And like, when he told me he was like nervous, like when he finally revealed that that gave him a lot of anxiety, I was like, "Do you want to read through our text thread?" Like seriously, like if that'll make you feel better, like
Yeah.
he didn't ask for that at all and never would. But I was like,
Mhm.
if it would make you feel better, go ahead and read the chat.
You're
And
like,
it's really just like,
nothing to hide.
how are you doing? Good. Life's crazy. How are you? Good. Like it literally was like nothing. And he was like, I don't really need to, but like I could. I was like, go for it. Just get the fear out of your mind. And so, yeah, he's read through like all my text threads with my exes because I was just like, here, like proof, like people can be, friends with their exes and whatever. And like, I really have nothing to hide. So, um, yeah, it's just like not even a thing anymore. But
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting way to see how your partner, like your new partner, responds to that. And like the level of trust that you can
Yeah.
have with each other.
Definitely. Trust is so important in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And, before we go, Lily, is there any like one last piece of advice that you could offer to someone who wants more ease in their dating or relationship?
Yeah. My biggest piece of advice to anybody, and especially women, is to spend time learning yourself and dating yourself
Mm,
and build a life that you really, really love. And then think about adding someone into that. And if that person can add more color to your life, more ease to your life, more safety to your life, and makes the beautiful life that you've built even better, then I think they're worth keeping.
yes.
I think a lot of times we date out of loneliness or
Hmm.
feeling like we should. And we make a lot of sacrifices that, and not to say that you shouldn't compromise with a partner, but like we need to know what we're not willing to compromise on and build a life that is really, really beautiful and then find someone that enhances that. I think any partner
Yes.
worth staying with for a long time is going to make your life better. And like for me with Johnny, like he's my rock. Like he grounds my nervous system. He makes me calmer. He makes me happier. He makes me feel more peace. He makes my life more beautiful. He makes me feel more beautiful. Like he adds to my life in every respect and genuinely enhances it. And so my life would actually be worse off without him. Not just neutral, but actually
Yeah.
worse. And so like I know he's worth building a life with. Whereas I think a lot of times a relationship will end and you're like, oh my God, like now I can actually be who I want to be. Now I can actually do the things I want to do. Now I can have the space I want to have. And you should be able to have all of that with someone. It should never be a compromise on what's most important to you.
Oof, I feel that that is so, so real. I think it's so important to, yeah, I think have your own thing, have that beautiful life that you're talking about that already lights you up. And then if someone else can add to that, then that's like, that's the best. That's amazing. But you shouldn't be counting on that other person to build your beautiful life for you.
No, exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of times I've always struggled with like finding your other half. It's like, no, like go be a whole person with a whole life and then find another whole person with a whole life.
Mhm.
Like they also should have a beautiful life that they love that you add to. And like if the person's genuinely right for you, then you will match on those most important things. Like, I think a lot of times people will say to people like, well, but what if your soulmate doesn't want that? Or what if your soulmate wants this instead? And it's like, well, then they're not my soulmate. You can have a lot of love with someone and they're not the right person to be in a relationship with. And so I think like really sticking to like what is a non-negotiable for me in my life and then finding someone that genuinely complements that without either of you having to give up anything major. Like Johnny and I just happen to agree on like 99.9% of things. Like we want the exact same life. And so there really isn't compromise. Like we're both just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to do this. Like, hey, me too. And like it just works. And it's not always that easy in relationships, but I think people have an expectation or like we've been sold a myth that relationships should be hard to some degree. And I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, no, that's so right. And I love that you found someone that adds to your life and that makes it easy for you to align on things. That's the most beautiful thing. I feel like that's where the magic happens in relationships and I'm so happy that you found that.
Thank you.
Yes, and we just want everyone to find that too. It's the
Oh,
best. So,
yeah. It's worth waiting for.
definitely. And yeah, sometimes it doesn't come right away, and that's okay. Well, Lily, I have loved this conversation. It was so magical, so fun. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm most active on TikTok, girl.gone.feral. And then I'm in the process of changing my username on Instagram, but Instagram is being glitchy, but it'll be, I think, girl_gone_feral.
Amazing.
And then podcast will be under the same name, Girl Gone Feral.
Yay. Well, I cannot wait for that. I am for sure going to listen along, and I know it's going to be super, super fun.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for joining me, Lily.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening along. If you enjoyed this, please share it with a friend who needs that little bit of intuition guidance in their life. And don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social. And until next time, we will talk to you later, friends.
Thank you.